Tonight, land buybacks in some flood zones, the response to the Lismore disaster. Scott Morrison refuses to stand down. Wages grow, but Australians still struggle. And Kalen Ponga reportedly drug tested in the wake of the pub toilet scandal. Tonight, Dominic Perrottet hits Lismore to unveil the flood report. But there's no detail on a buyback scheme.
Scott Morrison says he won't resign despite intense backlash over his secret ministries.
A family's moving tribute to a toddler fatally struck in a driveway at Lake Macquarie.
Sydney or Brisbane? The meeting set to decide who will host the NRL Grand Final.
And relief for the Rabbitohs with Latrell Mitchell declared fit to take on the Premiers.
This is NBN News.
Good evening. The New South Wales government will buy and demolish thousands of flood-ravaged homes and relocate a large chunk of the Lismore population.
It's part of a multi-billion-dollar move to future-proof the region against another disaster. But the buyback scheme is still light on details.
Imagine owning a 4 or 5 bedroom home that you can't sell.
Chris O'Keefe, NBN News.
And reporter Gracie Richter joins us live from Lismore now. Gracie, what's been the reaction to the report there?
Gav, many residents have been anxiously awaiting the independent inquiry's findings. They say it should have been released sooner, with businesses and homeowners needing to make decisions months ago. While uncertainty still remains around some aspects of the rebuild, it's hoped the recommendations will bring better warning systems and keep more residents out of harm's way in the future.
Next time there's a disaster of this magnitude, I hope there's a lot less people living in the flood zone. We need to really think big about what we can do with Lismore to make sure people don't go through that sort of thing again.
Gav, as you heard there, residents are just hoping all these reports make a difference.
Thank you so much, Gracie. A defiant Scott Morrison has refused to resign from Parliament after revelations he secretly appointed himself to 5 senior ministries. Today, the former Prime Minister mounted his defence, saying the powers he's accumulated were only for emergency use.
Scott Morrison wants Australians to remember that he ruled in the dark days of the pandemic. Accept it or not.
And the secret ministry saga doesn't end here. More from political editor Chris Yorman.
Today is not the end of this matter. Labor now has access to the paper trail of government and will be poring over files to shoot holes in a story that's already littered with contradictions. Evidence of more unconventional behaviour might turn up. On Monday, the Prime Minister will get advice on whether any laws were broken, and even if none is found, it's another day of damage control for the opposition. Labor will try and drag Peter Dutton into the mess by raising questions about his knowledge of the saga and try to ensure that the whole sorry affair inflicts more brand damage on an already deeply scarred Liberal Party.
Wages climbed 2.6% in the year to June, the strongest growth since 2014. But with inflation at 6.1%, the pay bump is unlikely to do much to ease cost of living pressures.
We're pleased to see wages growth picking up again, but it's well short of inflation, and that means real wages are still going backwards substantially.
The Bureau of Statistics says wages have now climbed for 3 consecutive quarters, largely due to pay rises in the private sector. A woman remains behind bars after a police chase through Wauchope. The 26-year-old and a male passenger allegedly failed to stop along Blackbutt Drive yesterday afternoon. They led police on a chase before losing control and crashing on Watui Road. The pair wasn't injured. The driver fronted Port Macquarie local court today and was refused bail. A Barrowville teenager has fronted Kempsey Children's Court today following an aggravated assault earlier this month. The teenager allegedly kicked a 72-year-old man to the ground and stomped on his head before demanding cash and fleeing. He was arrested yesterday following a short foot pursuit with police. Have you seen Eden Buckingham? The 23-year-old has been missing since Monday and is described as being of Caucasian appearance, 167 centimetres tall, solid build with brown hair and eyes. He was last seen in Crown Street in Bellingen and could be driving a white Subaru station wagon. Protesters have gathered outside the Forestry Corporation office in Coffs Harbour, the group claiming crimes have been committed. However, the EPA says the trees in Ellis State Forest have been lawfully harvested.
Concerned citizens joining forces to protest current logging operations at Ellis State Forest. Alison Paul, NBN News.
Gillian Helfgott, wife of Shine pianist David Helfgott, has died at the age of 90 after a short illness. Gillian was instrumental in helping organise the annual Camp Creative Festival in Bellingen. Woolgoolga residents are being asked to keep their dogs on a leash and steer clear of a leopard seal spotted at Back Beach. National Parks and Wildlife are monitoring the seal, warning if it feels threatened, it may show aggression. In a blow to the Perrottet government's long-serving Marl Lakes MP, Stephen Bromhead, has announced he won't contest the 2023 state election. In a statement, Mr Bromhead says he looks forward to spending more time with his family after 12 years in the job. Emergency services in the Mid-Coast are turning to young people to help shape the future, holding a workshop in Taree to brainstorm ideas to manage future natural disasters.
They might not have much life experience or qualifications, but the youth of today certainly have some great ideas.
What we realised is those voices are often silent.
Rob Douglas, NBN News.
From financial scams to psychological abuse, the impacts are weighing down on the Mid-North Coast's most vulnerable. A conference was held in Port Macquarie today addressing the needs and well-being of our ageing population.
A powerful message hidden behind these melodies. Gemma Pepper, NBN News.
A quick look at the top temperatures across the district today. We had clear skies and it ended up being quite warm. Coming up after the break, another senior New South Wales MP set to exit the political stage.
Tributes for an Aussie fitness trainer shot dead in Los Angeles.
And dramatic on-board video of a chopper crash, which everyone survived. The mother of a toddler fatally struck by a vehicle in a Lake Macquarie driveway on Monday has told NBN News it was a tragic accident. Jacinta McPherson says she's still coming to terms with the loss and wants her special little girl remembered.
Cheeky, happy and beautiful, 22-month-old Peyton was a much-loved little girl.
Typical two-year-old.
Typical two-year-old, full of life, full of beans.
Senior Minister Victor Dominello is the latest in a string of coalition MPs to announce he will not contest the New South Wales election in March. His seat of Ryde will be a key target for Labor if it's to win government. There are still questions over the future of Veteran Health Minister Brad Hazzard, along with colleagues Rob Stokes and David Elliott.
The location for the NRL Grand Final is still undecided, with a meeting right now to determine the location dragging past the 1 hour mark. Officials are weighing up Sydney and Brisbane as options for the game, which has become a political football.
As the women's season gets up and running at a brand new Sydney venue, the Harbour City's hold on the men's decider is still on the line.
A person who could line up any room he walked into. That's how friends have described Australian trainer Azuma Bennett, who was shot dead in Los Angeles. The 30-year-old was unarmed when he was attacked, just weeks before he was due to visit his mother back home.
Flowers, candles and Tim Tams for the Australian fitness instructor who touched so many lives.
Now checking our weather situation across the region, finally some winter perfection. The latest northwest cloud band is situated far enough south to largely miss us throughout tomorrow. So the southwest and the southeast corners of the country continue on with their wild, wet winter. But for us, well, we've got winter days of perfection. Tomorrow will be one of the most comfortable days this season. The Central Coast and Greater Hunter should see some of that high-level cloud later. Your local details later.
In just a moment, the new COVID kit billed as Australia's first portable PCR test.
A lucky escape for two boys who stumbled across an anti-tank missile launcher.
And a Hunter school rallies around a brave student battling cancer. Bill Spedding was once named the key suspect in William Tyrrell's disappearance. And what followed were unrelated child sex charges, which turned out to be fake. Now the grandfather is suing the state. A Sydney court today hearing he wants a hefty payout for the alleged police wrongdoing.
Bill Spedding is an innocent man with a stigma from the William Tyrrell witch hunt.
The war in Ukraine appears to have entered a new phase, with Ukrainian forces launching counterattacks deep in Russian-held territory. It's led to thousands of people being ordered to leave, Moscow calling the blasts sabotage.
Reverberating across the countryside, blasts ripped through a large ammunition depot.
He may be 98, but World War II Air Force engineer Ron Hill still has the need for speed. Today, Ron met his idol, former fighter, pilot turned air race champion Matt Hall, and was given a close-up look at a P-51 Mustang at Lake Macquarie Airport.
Be an eye-opener for a lot of people. I'm stuck in one of these things now.
Yeah.
Can't get booked for speeding in this thing.
Yeah.
Ron says he hasn't seen a Mustang for almost 80 years.
Oh, what a great visit.
I know, another great story. Moving to sport now with Mitchie.
Mitch, great news for the Bunnies.
Absolutely, their star fullback is fighting fit. Thanks, team. After the break, Latrell Mitchell, a confirmed starter for tomorrow's grand final rematch. Also ahead, the highs and lows of life on the court for Nick Kyrgios. And women's surfing returns to one of the world's most intimidating breaks. He's branded himself Trell Mitt, and the Rabbitohs fullback is fit for tomorrow's grand final rematch with Penrith. Latrell sent a scare through the burrow after leaving training early with a groin twinge on Monday, but he will line up as Souths close in on a top 4 spot.
The Rabbitohs have every reason to raise a glass. Rugby League's most dangerous player is fit and ready to fire.
The NRL Integrity Unit has reportedly sent drug testers to Newcastle following an incident at a local hotel where Kalen Ponga and Kurt Mann were removed from a toilet cubicle by a security guard. The matter remains under investigation. Ponga's father has said his son was being sick. The NRL has a 3-strike policy when it comes to drugs. In just a moment, our next generation Matildas bow out of their World Cup. And the NRLW preparing to open Australia's newest stadium. In 1988, the Roosters and Dragons opened the newly built Sydney Football Stadium. In just over 2 weeks, their 2 NRLW teams will launch the new SFS before the Roosters and Rabbitohs clash in round 25 of the men's competition. Taree's Nick Larkin top scored for the Melbourne Stars Academy squad in their win over Papua New Guinea in the Top End 2020 League in Darwin. Walking to the crease at 3 for 37, Larkin stabilised the innings. 3 students from Coffs Harbour will be vying for podium finishes at the School Sport Australia Swimming Nationals in Brisbane. Set to compete in 12 races, including 5 relays, it's sure to be a busy week in the pool. Luckily, they've been preparing all year.
Training up to 5 days a week, Coco Becker and Harry Campbell are constantly pushing each other to swim faster.
The history of golf in Australia and the region's role in shaping it is now on full display at the Tuncurry Golf Museum. It's part of a major revamp for the club, which has helped attract the Great Lakes' first major championships.
The past, present and future all in one place.
One of the only regional museums in New South Wales, if not in Australia.
Rob Douglas, NBN News.
Certainly looks like an amazing collection.
Really does. Thank you, Mitch.
And it's good golf weather as well. All of your local details headed your way straight up. Well, it was an absolute winter stunner today, but the good news is it's going to be even better tomorrow. This evening's weather photo. Rainbows, they're now going to be hard to come by, but we've had plenty of them this winter. Yesterday, rainbows galore. Great shot of Scott's Head, though. Little beach, Tanya. Beautiful photo, double rainbow set there. Now, there were rainbows right throughout the southeast because it was a mixture of showers and sunny periods or gaps in between, which helped produce rainbows. especially towards the end of the day. But in the west, plenty of rain, but very little in the way of rainbow activity because that system, well, it was just too clouded over. Today, though, getting hit with squally showers sliding in over the southwest. It is very warm over central Australia. How warm? We'll find out in just a moment. But that heat is sliding our way, and it's going to be even warmer along the coast. It's overall going to be even better because of that warm, dry air moving out. Some of that high-level cloud may be seen throughout the far southern reaches of the mid-north coast late tomorrow, but that front is mostly going to affect Tasmania, Victoria, right throughout the Riverina and South Australia. Fining up in the west, but it is still quite cold for Perth. The Alice up and over 30 degrees. It is August, but it goes to show how quickly it can build over central Australia. But the fronts are making sure that the wild wintry weather remains locked in place right throughout the southeast. Ahead of the fronts, though, not too bad for the capital. Cloud increasing, though. They'll be affected by that high-level cloud and late rain. For Sydney, all fine. Brisbane heating up and lovely conditions prevailed right across the north. Taking a look at temperatures reached today, it was cool this morning. Kempsey down to 2 degrees, but for all, we escaped the teens and it was a frosty beginning up on the tablelands. Morning fog patches tomorrow. They're going to be with us despite the lack of humidity. So the moisture content in the atmosphere is really beginning to dry out, but there's still plenty on the ground. So a little bit misty tomorrow morning because it's going to be quite calm. Then we're going to see an absolute brilliant day. Fine, clear, sunny, cold tomorrow morning with those morning westerlies, but then the wind shifting around to the north combined with all of the sunshine, it is really going to heat up, escaping the teens for all easily into the low 20s, brilliant skies overhead, some of that high-level cloud late in the day, frosty beginnings across the tablelands and throughout the valleys on the eastern side of the divide. Expect some morning fog and mist yet again. Swell running at about 1.5 metres, 2 metres throughout tomorrow, so still seeing a little bit of swell linger. We've got the sun to rise 6:21 down at 5:24. Sorry that tidal information isn't with us today. That moon now waning away. We've got temperatures lovely and warm in the coming days. Now the weekend is going to be absolutely fantastic. Still nice, just colder, cooler air moving through. Another front will be passing by, but it's a great week. We won't see the wet weather return until the middle of next week. So it is going to be very warm over the next couple of days for Grafton. And it's going to be a great day, if you can, for hitting the coast. The beaches are going to be magnificent, great on the sand, quite warm, and there's going to be swell with us. Cleaner in the morning with the westerlies, but then shifting right around to the north. May go northwest for a little while, then northeast, but there's swell, there's offshore winds, the water is clean, it's still a bit cold and fresh in, but who cares when you've got winter weather that we've got on the way in the coming days. Make the most of it. So a little hint of spring in the air in the coming days.
I like the sound of that.
Finally.
Thank you, Gav. That is NBN News for this Wednesday. Enjoy the rest of your evening. Good night.